Hello everyone, my name is Alexey Malanov. I'm a technology expert at Kaspersky. I would like to tell you about one scenario how this Bitcoin mining system can be destabilized. Please raise your hands who understand how mining works and what do they all do. Yeah, quite a lot of, but I would like to remind everyone that what do miners do? They all are trying to guess one number which will be the key to the next block. This is done to make the blockchain unique for all the participants. Let's discuss the strategy. The question we will be answering, is it more profitable to turn off your mining rig, your mining hash power, to make more profit? And we will also calculate the parameters of this scheme. First of all, I would like to remind you what is 51% attack is. Please raise your hands who understands what is it. Not a lot of. Yeah, if you control more than a half of all the mining power, you can do this scenario. First of all, deposit some amount of your cryptocurrency to some crypto exchange. Start generating blocks without this transaction. So for the other people, they will see that you have transferred your money to the cryptocurrency exchange, but in your history, in your financial history, they will not be. You will wait when the exchange balance will be updated, and after that you can publish your generated chain of blocks. Since you control more than a half of the hash power, your blockchain will be longer than the others, so all the world will think that your blockchain is the best and it will use it. In this case, you will still have your money in your pocket, and also you have an updated balance on the cryptocurrency exchange. After that, you can withdraw all your money back to your pocket. This attack can help you to spend your money twice. This is what happens when the 51% attack occurs. I would like to say that this is not a theoretic attack. Several coins have already suffered about this. Monocoin, Bitcoin Gold, Ethereum Classic. Right here, there is a calculation how much money do you need to invest to produce this kind of attack. And you can see that, for example, the last one, Bitcoin, is also vulnerable, and you need only $200 to implement this attack and spend your money 2 times. But in case of Bitcoin, you can't do this because you can't rent a lot of hashing power because only 1% is available on the market for renting. Another thing we would like to discuss before we will move forward, mining difficulty adaptation. You know, all the miners, they are solving task to be the happy one who have solved it and receive the reward, about 10 Bitcoins right now. But the more miners are doing this, the more difficulty is it. So the Bitcoin always adapts the mining difficulty to make the block producing speed stable. The normal speed is 1 block per every 10 minutes. If, for example, the number of miners will double, the hash rate will double, the Bitcoin will adapt the mining difficulty in about 2 weeks. So these 2,000 blocks will take about 2 weeks. And it will double the mining difficulty to make it longer and to make the speed of producing stable. So imagine the situation if a hash rate is added or removed during this period without adaptation. If you first of all, it doesn't affect the reward for other miners. If you add or remove some hashing power, the other miners will still receive the same reward. The second thing, it affects the speed of block production. For example, if you remove just half of the mining power, the next period will be 2 times longer because the left miners will have to produce blocks and it is harder for them. If 99% of miners will stop mining, the next block will take about 16 hours, and the next adaptation period will last for 4 years. So this is the idea of mining difficulty adaptation. it tries to adapt the difficulty, but it does it only once per 2,000 blocks. You would like to say that there is so-called free will of miners, but I would like to remind that rig owners, those guys who actually own the mining hash power, they usually don't have their free will. Of course, they can change pools, but usually they do it due to economic reasons. And the pool owners usually decide what to mine. For example, they decide what to mine, Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum or Ethereum Classic. So imagine the situation that the hash rate, the total hash rate, has stabilized over time. So we can go further to our mining strategy. First of all, let's, for simplicity, think that we control 1/2 of all the mining power. The first strategy, which is obvious, you can keep your rig on, and you will get the reward for half of all the blocks. This is 50%, 1,000 of blocks. Or you can wait for the designated period to finish. Just as I said, it is about 2 weeks. After that, you can turn off your mining powers. After that, you will have to wait until all the other miners will mine those 2,000 blocks. It will take about 4 weeks. Bitcoin, after that, will halve the difficulty of the next period. And after that, you can turn on your rig, and you will mine you will get the same reward for 1,000 blocks within just 1 week. But I would like to stress that you will pay for electricity just for 1 week, but you will get the same reward. The same thing on the picture. In normal mining, the first green period, we have 2 weeks, and the hash rate is 100%. Imagine you have waited till this moment. You have turned off your half of the hash power. Now the time before adaptation will take 4 weeks. After that, you can turn on your rig, and you will produce all the blocks just in 1 week. Let's compare these two strategies to find out which is more profitable. For regular mining, when you're just mining as usual, the profit will be, in these 5 weeks, it will be 2,500 blocks. But in case of smart mining, I call it, you will get the reward for 1,000 blocks, but you will pay just for 1 week. If we add the electricity cost to this, suppose that electricity costs about 90% of the reward. In first case, you will get the reward only for 252 blocks. But in second case, in smart mining, the profit will be income minus cost. It will be 2 times more. So this strategy gives you additional money for nothing. You can just turn off, turn on, and you will get more profit. I would like to remind the scheme of the strategy. You can just turn off, wait for some time, and turn on. These 5 weeks will be more profitable. But now let's calculate the optimal strategy. Let's find out how many mining power you should turn off to get the optimal numbers. First, let's assume that you control the portion x of total hash rate. The x is between 0 and 1. The total reward for all 2,000 blocks in this period will be A, and the electricity cost, let's say C. So we deliberately don't think about depreciation, but even this will help the strategy of the miner, because when your rig doesn't work, it doesn't depreciate, because so you don't need to buy if it got broken. So in regular mining, the profit will be AX minus CX. But what about the optimal strategy? In smart miner turns his rig off, other miners will mine longer. You can skip all the formulas, just follow the ideas. For example, if I control 1/3 of all the mining power, it will take about 1.5 times longer to produce and to finish the period. After the adaptation of the turning on, it will take less time to produce those 2 weeks. So if I control 1/3 of all the mining power, it will take about 10 days to finish the work, to finish all those 2,000 blocks. So the total duration of all those 2 periods will be about this formula, 2 weeks multiplied by some figures. So the optimal strategy. You can just skip the formulas and look at the outcome. In regular operation, we have one income. In smart operation, we have another income. In case of zero margin, that means that the electricity costs the same as the mining income. The smart strategy will give us additional profit, which depends seriously on the portion of the mining power we have. In case of free electricity, it will give us nothing because we will just lose some money because we are not mining for a significant portion of the period. But the electricity cost is somewhere between the income and zero. So how many rigs should we turn off? Imagine the margin, I minus C divided by A. This is the margin, this is the income minus costs, and this is in the percent. So what is the optimal portion of mining power we should turn off to achieve the best result? There is some math, you can skip it. But this equation reaches the maximum at the point where x is equal to 1 minus square root of m. For example, if m is 4%, so marginality is 4%, we should disable 80% of the hash rate to achieve the biggest profit. So why don't miners do it right now? So this is obvious. You can turn off, you can wait, you can turn on and get more money. Because the hashing power is increasing over time. This is the graph from October 15 till now, and you can see that it grows tremendously. If you turn off your mining power, you will just lose the money because the network will not adapt the difficulty. You will just do nothing. So we have to wait until the hash rate will stabilize. So currently we are not ready, but hash rate grows over time. But what are the reasons for this? First of all, if Bitcoin price grows, then the hash power also grows. Because more income, we can afford more, afford us to spend more electricity. So this is one of the reasons. Another thing is due to technology. For example, every year, the mining equipment becomes more and more efficient. It produces more hashes but spends less electricity. But both these things can't last forever. Of course, if Bitcoin will always grow, we will never see this smart strategy, but I'm pretty sure it will not. Right now, using the smart strategy is useless, but the network will still not drop the difficulty. But one day, the hash rate will stabilize. I'm sure because nothing grows forever. So in this case, the income will be close to costs, because if the margin is still high, you can add additional equipment and get additional profit. But when it will be stabilized, it will be really small marginality. In case of margin of 6%, we can turn off 75% according to our formula. But we can't turn off more than that because the network will not adapt the difficulty more than 4 times at a time. So this is the margin threshold. So why miners don't do this? Right now, there are about 20 pools that control about 98% of all the mining powers. So turning off 75% will lead to 51% vulnerability. Just as we mentioned in the beginning, there is a risk. If, for example, those 75% will turn off their equipment, there will be only one pool, right now about 1.5 pool, that will control the network. They can suddenly turn the hashing power on and realize and implement the 51% attack. You may ask, is it profitable to attack Bitcoin as a pool operator? For example, you have invested a lot of money into hash power, and right now you're the biggest pool in the world. Is it reasonable to attack the Bitcoin the way I said before? The answer is yes, because in case of low marginality, the price of all your equipment is zero. If it doesn't give your money, you can just throw it away. So in the case when the marginality will be low, it will be profitable to attack the Bitcoin. No revenue, playing honestly, is not viable. And this is the common concern. Do you know what is tragedy of the commons? This is when all the network are thinking about themselves, but in common they lose. In case all the miners could cooperate, it would be better to turn off all the equipment except just one device and get all the revenue and split it among all of them. But we are sure that it will never happen. In this case, it is more realistic that they will follow some kind of nuclear disarmament strategy. So the solution is to proportional destroying of the mining powers to get out of this tragedy. So the conclusion. First of all, there is no risk while the hash rate rises. But we are sure that the hash rate can't rise forever, just any process in the universe. For a stable hash rate and the mining marginality of 6%, it is better to turn off 3/3 of all the mining hash power to drop the difficulty and save the electricity. It is viable to implement 51% attack if your rigs don't bring enough money. So this is the idea. Thank you.